Hey everyone, my name's Yvonne Villarreal and I'm a TV reporter here at the Los Angeles Times. And joining me today is Krysten Ritter, who appears on Netflix's Jessica Jones as the trash-talking, tough as nails heroine at the lead of this show. And you dare not ask her not to smile, right?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
What's it like being here, getting up and promoting the show, even though it's been a while?
You know, it's exciting because this show is, for me, is like the gift that keeps on giving. And I love the show and I'm so proud of it. So I'm happy to keep, promoting it.
Keep promoting it. Let's talk about your initial thoughts when you were told about this series. Were you sort of ambivalent? I know Marvel is like sort of notorious not giving too many details, so how was that sort of pitched to you?
So I got a set of dummy sides with different character names. I think they had my character name as Julia. So then, of course, I'm like Googling as much as I can, like Julia, Marvel, nothing's, I can't find anything. But I was given a couple of scenes that were from the pilot, and they were so juicy. There was so much work for me to do, even just with these 5 to 8 pages. It was so layered. There were so many seeds in there. One of the scenes was with Luke Cage in the bar, which was in the pilot. And I was like, oh, what are they talking about?
What was Luke Cage's name?
Lance.
Lance?
Yeah.
So Julia and Lance.
Julia and Lance.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Yeah, perfect.
And then the other scene was with Trish, who is played by Rachel Taylor. And just like her showing up and she's in this emotional state telling her friend that he's back and I don't know who that is. So I had to create all of this scenario. So even just for the audition, there was so much work for me to do and so much to play with that it was really exciting. And then I met with Marvel and Melissa and was getting more information. And they always talked about the show kind of like Dexter or, because Melissa worked on Dexter, or Homeland, in terms of the tone and just the vibe of the show. And so I wanted the part from the beginning. And I was kind of willing to do whatever it took to get it.
Whatever it took.
Yeah.
And so like now you're part of this universe. Is it sort of surreal to be a Marvel hero? Like what is that like?
Yeah, it's very surreal. And the whole thing is just more than I could have ever imagined. When you're auditioning to get a part and having the part is a totally different thing. A, because the show is picked up. Is also on a global platform like Netflix, and this is something I've never been a part of. It's such a new thing. And also Jessica Jones is part of a bigger project.
Yes.
We're like a cog in a wheel of this bigger scope. So it's just like a huge, it changed my life. Getting this part completely changed my life. It changed where I lived. It changed the amount of promotion, the shooting, it's changed everything.
What is that like, sort of being on the Netflix platform? Like, once it launched, did it feel like you were being inundated all at once?
Yeah.
Like, just nonstop? Your Twitter ads must have been crazy.
Yeah, totally. It's insane. So many people watched the show right away and binged it that first weekend. And I remember first, like, going out of my house, like, someone would be like, oh my God, I love your show. And I was thinking, are they talking about Jessica Jones or are they talking about Don't Trust the Bee? Like I really didn't know. So it's been a crazy ride.
And people are still finding it, or people are rewatching it.
Yeah.
So it must be like a weird sort of thing to navigate.
It's so cool. I I love Netflix. I love the shows that they're doing, and also because of they've been launching in different countries. We'll go to these other countries. And you have a lot of FaceTime with either the executives or like the heads of the network. And it always feels very like, I don't know, like a little club. It doesn't ever feel like, I don't know, it doesn't feel like us versus them. It's not like this big, it just feels like a kind of like a cool club to be in.
That's
Yeah, I get to travel with I've got to go to like Milan with Taylor Schilling and hang out with her for a couple days and go
not a bad gig.
Fly somewhere with Will Arnett or Chelsea Handler. It's a really cool thing that they're doing, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
Well, and how about playing, you've spoken about this before, like sort of playing a character without really having gender in mind. And that sort of is it lives or die by the writing, and you've spoken about how Melissa has sort of made that her mission. And talk about how freeing that is, or how different that was from past characters you've played.
It was a very unique experience. I never really felt, and I hadn't thought about this before, but I never felt pressure to like look great. Because Jessica doesn't give a shit about. Oh, sorry.
That's fine.
Okay, just want to make sure.
It makes it better.
Nobody briefed me about the cursing. Yeah. But yeah, I never felt a lot of pressure to like be like bright and fresh and perky.
Yeah.
I was never obviously in high heels. I was in clothes that really like hid. I could hide behind. Gave me like a physical weight, like of the world. And so that was really cool. It was so cool. I think Jessica is just. There's no other part on television that I would want to play.
How about, it must have been a lot to sort of get into the Jessica that we don't see on screen, like to create that backstory for her and sort of live in those sort of emotions that she's dealing with. Talk a little bit about what the prep work was like for you.
Yeah, so that's getting really into a character's skin. That's the exciting part for an actor. So getting a character with this incredibly rich backstory, everything she does is informed by this backstory, is really exciting because I always knew where I was coming from.
Right.
But yeah, after a while, it definitely takes a toll because in real life, I'm more bubbly and alive and like zestful and I like to have a good time. So after a while, you're like, oh my God, getting like really depressed.
Yeah.
And I try to, all of the elements, I had to move across the country. I'm in an apartment that doesn't have my furniture. I'm not around my friends. So I was very isolated in the beginning. And I spent a lot of time by myself, just kind of like walking around in my apartment, like finding Jessica's body and kind of like doing the scenes by myself in my apartment. And kind of like leaning against walls. Like I would spend a lot of time by myself finding her. And then, so all of that helped me. All of that helped me find Jessica's like kind of loneliness.
And did you do a lot of talking with Melissa about who she was? And
yeah, Melissa and I have had a very open dialogue from the beginning. We also have a great director, S.J. Clarkson, who I always felt like was in it with me. She was like the constant. Like I do have a lot of scenes where I'm all by myself, and so I would like turn to her afterwards, and she would be the person I connected with.
How about? Were you happy or a little disappointed that, this is a show where there's not a lot of CGI. A lot of the sort of action moments are sort of like physical moments. Were you happy with that, or were you sort of like bummed you weren't experiencing that aspect?
You mean of like big crazy
stuff? Big.
Well, I always loved how they pitched the show from the beginning, which is a very gritty, grounded character study. This is a psychological character study. So for me as an actor, like that's the dream. So I didn't really think about it in terms of like the big, stuff, because I loved how internal her story was. Don't get me wrong, I had a lot of fun doing the stunts, and
the jumps.
Yeah, the jumps are really fun. When I got to go on the wire, that was really fun. The wire is really fun. Although my first time, I got like swung into a street sign. I was like, this is my first experience on a wire. But then because I was scared, once you get comfortable with it, it's a blast.
Now you're like a pro on the wire.
I love the wire, and I love throwing punches. And the best is when someone else is on a wire and you throw them and they go really far. So I love the stunts, but it was always about Jessica's inner life. And so I think that didn't really call for a lot of big CGI and special effects.
Right. Let's take some questions from Facebook or social media in general. There are many. Let's see. And now it's blank.
Oh, really?
No.
Malfunction.
No, kidding. Raphael asks, what do you like most about Jessica?
I love Jessica as, so now that I've finished the season, I've been talking about her in different ways, I realized like how she's kind of a symbol of no matter what your background is or what you've come from or what you think story defines you, you're still capable of total greatness. And you're still able to find to live up to your potential. So that's what I love most about Jessica.
What frustrates you about her?
What frustrates me about her? You know, I guess I should say like all of the stuff she does wrong, but that's what I love about her. That's the fun part. Yeah. I love how flawed she is. I love that she doesn't give a
How about you get to work with David Tennant?
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that, how that was.
You know, you're only as good as your scene partner, and I've gotten very lucky. All of the entire cast on the show, really top-notch actors. But David Tennant, I had a lot of scenes, you know, where I'm under his control, so I had the privilege of kind of getting to sit back and watch him. And I was always completely blown away by his choices that he would make. He could do the same 5-page scene 20 times and change it up a little bit, but still hit his marks. You know, like he's just a master.
What's it like when it's like cut and you guys are on a break? What is the either with him or just in general? What's it like on the set of Jessica Jones when it's not so intense? David
Tennant is running to set
all the time.
Yeah, he is very, very like warm and just a good guy. He's a really good, nice guy. Same with Mike. Like Mike is gabbing about Game of Thrones. So I think the most amazing thing about the show is the cast, and it's so cool when a casting director like puts you with these people you've never met before. Carrie-Anne Moss,
amazing.
I mean, she's like one of the most inspiring women I've ever met. She is so fierce and so fabulous and so unlike her character in the show. She's like a yoga, kundalini, like healthy food, like just an amazing warmth. She is a radiating light, and then she plays that like fierce shark lawyer. Rachel is a girl's girl through and through. I got one sore throat on the show, and she sent me flowers.
Nice.
I know. It just an incredible amount. I felt an incredible amount of support.
We'll take another question. Stephen Bush asks, should Tennant return? He was a strong character. Is he replaceable?
David Tennant is totally irreplaceable. He is one in a million. But I'm excited to see what the writers come up with next. I think because David was so exciting in the role, that will hopefully allow us big opportunities for somebody to come in second season. I don't know anything about the second season, obviously.
Were you surprised that she would opt to, kill versus?
I kind of felt like around episode 12, before I got the finale, I was like, she's got to kill him.
She's got to kill him.
She's got to kill him. After Hope died, everything kind of shifted. I know for me, playing her at the moment, when Jessica kills him, very conflicted because he was her purpose. He was the reason that she...
What does she do now?
Yeah. And it's a little bit of like a Stockholm thing. Yeah. Like she's almost become codependent on that relationship, but he's just been so awful, and Jessica almost needs to kill him to get to that next step. So I don't know where she goes next emotionally, but I know in the moment when we were playing that scene, it was very difficult for me.
How was it playing those scenes in general when you're sort of like held captive by...
Exhausting.
Like, because it seems so just... I felt like I couldn't complain after coming home from a long day of work because I'm like, Jessica Jones has it way worse than me.
It's exhausting because even because you do those scenes, and even when you're just standing there listening, you want to like make sure like you're very alive. Like the way PTSD works is you are reliving that moment. So I was doing that as much as I could. And so it was definitely draining and difficult, but it was really important to me to give her PTSD and this backstory a lot of integrity and crush it.
Well, because what were the discussions like with Melissa about those PTSD scenes and the way it sort of tackled the sexual abuse aspect of her backstory? What were your discussions like?
Well, I was sort of, working on that with Melissa and also on my own, and also with my coach and with SJ, like kind of like just pulling all of the information I could. But Jessica's been through some very, very awful things, and it wasn't just like having, I have a flashback of that, and then a shudder. Like, she would feel like she was back in that situation. And she could barely cope. She drinks all day. She's cut off all of her friends. She has no social community. She has a really hard time.
We'll take another question. It's from Jenny from Facebook. Who would win in a fight, Wonder Woman or Jessica Jones? Why?
You know, Jessica Jones is so scrappy that I wouldn't put anything past her.
She is pretty scrappy. Isabella from Facebook. What was your craziest experience with fans?
You know, I just think, like, having fans is a crazy experience.
These ones are intense. Like,
yeah.
They're passionate.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the coolest things about Jessica is that she has kind of, a lot of people have connected with her in a very deep way. And I've had a couple of interactions with women who have been very emotional about their own experiences and how when they saw Jessica, they felt like they were represented on screen. So I'd say that has been the most moving and the most humbling kind of amazing reaction.
And are you sort of ready, because, you know, this is all sort of leading up to The Defenders, which is the Avengers-like series that Netflix is releasing. How do you think that's going to play out for you? Like, are you ready to sort of be part of a sort of like a mishmash of characters? Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to it. I love Mike. I've met Charlie a couple of times. He's lovely. I don't know Finn. But I'm excited to see how they pull it all together. I think Marvel is proving just over and over and over again that the quality is so high. I mean, I don't know how Jessica fits into that world. I think we kind of all feel that way. Like, well, how do we all get together? How does that work? But I'm excited to see what they come up with.
And we didn't, obviously there's no costume for her. There's like sort of allusions with Trish, like wishing that Jessica would get a costume. We did see you in a hoagie sort of costume on the street. How was that for you? Like, are you sort of glad you don't have that sort of?
Yeah, I mean, I love wearing the jeans and the boots and the jacket because it's comfortable. It's practical. It's cool. Yeah, and I can kind of like hide behind it. I don't know how I'd feel about like walking around in some latex.
And you guys shot in New York, right?
Yeah,
how was that?
In New York. New York is an amazing place to shoot. It looks great. There's like always fun places to eat food.
that's
the Teamsters always know, like, oh, this is where you get the best, you know, hero, the best banh mi sandwich, the best
Those are essentials.
Yeah.
Shannon Williamson asks, what do you want from season 2?
What do I want from season 2? I guess I just can't wait to see what they come up with, first of all, and to dig even deeper into the psychology of what's going on with her post-Kilgrave. It'd be fun to do a couple of big stunts.
Well, that's like sort of the problem is, you know, we're like people really, it's not a problem, but people really liked the first season and they're sort of like waiting for the second one. It's like we gotta wait a while because of, like, how is that for you? Like,
I mean, I feel the same way.
Yeah,
I'm like, let's do it already. Also, I want to watch it.
But
I feel that way about all the shows that I binge watch.
Yeah, that's true. It feels like such a long wait between.
And you run out and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like a drug
addict. What was the last thing you binged?
Outlander.
Oh,
that's a good binge show.
That is a good binge show.
Yeah.
So are you caught up to the current season, or?
I am not caught up to like last week's episode, but I met Sam for a press thing, and we were interviewing each other, so I wanted to be prepared, like a good nerd that I am, and so I watched the entire show.
He had an intense season.
He does, and the ending.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. Yeah.
But I loved it. They have such hot sex scenes on that show.
You do too.
Right, but those are like. Yeah.
Those, you guys had intense sex scenes. Isabella asks, how do you feel being a big symbol of feminism?
It's exciting. I'm honored. I'm thrilled. I love Jessica. I love that she is just her own thing and
the smile part really resonated with women.
You know, and when we were doing it, I didn't quite get it.
Yeah, really?
Until I read a piece on it. I was like, oh my God. But I'm also like doing it over the course of 8 months or 6, whatever, and and then seeing it all together, I was like so moved by that. And now if anybody like says smile,
You're
like, didn't you see Jessica Jones?
Yeah, that's really the reaction we give.
Yeah.
It's like that's the thing to say now.
Yeah, it's really exciting that they came up with that. I mean, Melissa, what an amazing career moment for her to make such a cultural impact with her show.
Right.
Like it's very exciting.
Well, so where are you guys sort of talking about what's ahead or when production starts, or is sort of all in limbo right now?
Yeah, no, I
can't say.
Yeah. Thanks.
Come on. Come on.
Listen, I really don't know anything about the story.
You don't, yeah. But it'll be a while before we get it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I'm not, they brief you before you go on camera. Don't say anything like this.
We won't tell Ted Sarandos. You told us. We promise. Sola asked, would you be open to a DC Comics role?
I'm always open to good material. I don't think I can do that.
I think contractually, maybe you can.
Yeah. I'm a Marvel girl.
All right. Well, Krysten, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah,
Thanks so much for
me.
joining us. And thank you all for watching. Please tune in for our future Emmy contender chats. Thank you.